Hey, good morning. Sean McMahon here.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm Maddie, just fine. How about you?
Oh yeah, I'm glad we are on here and getting this going.
Yeah, likewise. Hey, I finally got some slides from Hannah Inman and the Great Outdoors Foundation on the Central Iowa Water, but they're in PDF format. So hopefully we can make this quick, and I'm going to try to scramble and create a couple new slides before the webinar kicks off here.
Okay, sure. Did you want to kind of practice sharing your
No
screen?
problem. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you enable? Are you the host or is that Amanda?
I am a co-host, so let me see.
Okay. Morning, Amanda. I don't know if you can hear me.
Good morning. Let
How are
me
you?
just make sure I have all of our settings right. I'm glad to see your name again and see your face again.
Likewise.
No, he's not on yet.
And we'll be clicking the same link at 10:30, correct?
Actually, what you can do is just stay right here, and then what we'll do is click broadcast, and then all of a sudden it'll go live.
Hey, what's going on? Oh, hey, I better.
Who's that menacing stranger over your shoulder?
Okay, we got Lexi here too.
Good morning, Lexi. How's it going?
So the problem we need to solve right now is allowing Sean to share his screen. Is that correct?
That is. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Does he need to become a host?
Now you should be able to go, Sean.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be working.
It off here because otherwise so we're just gonna go like
That looks good. I'll just the top.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this on Mike's.
okay.
Slideshow. Current slide. Okay. Hopefully I can do that a little faster by just having this ready when I share again. But are you guys seeing the slides advance?
Yes.
It's some animation there.
Everything looks perfect.
Good. As I mentioned, I just pasted in a PDF of the Central Iowa Water Trails, so not quite the high resolution of the rest of the slides. I'm going to try to do one or two more of those Central Iowa Water Trail slides before we get started here.
They're looking okay on my end.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you need from me?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'll just get back to creating those slides that Hannah sent and
Okay.
join you all in a few minutes.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Sean, I don't know if they mentioned to you, but just full disclosure, we are recording this session, so just so you know.
That's absolutely fine. Thanks for the fair warning there, Amanda. Hey, Lexi, I was in Washington County last week for a all day. It was fantastic.
Good. I actually drove here from there this morning, so
Oh, did you? Okay,
I
yeah.
kind of crossed paths with you. It's a good place.
Yeah, crops look great. There were a lot of folks out spraying and haying, and as always, good to see Washington County leading the state in terms of cover crops adoption.
We love that. Yeah, we did a little crop tour when I was home this weekend, so things are looking good. I'm glad you thought so too.
Awesome. Very good.
Love hearing that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will probably momentarily stop sharing my video, do some slide stuff, and see you all in a few minutes.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks
Sean.
so much. But I'll stop sharing too. So you
Okay.
have control of the webinar wall. Okay,
Perfect.
very good. All right, thanks.
That's always going to be there. Let me see.
So Maddie, can you see on now that you're our co-host, do you see like the top orange bar where it says broadcast?
Yes.
Okay. So just in case I fall off the face of the earth, once the clock strikes, well, I guess 10:30 your time, that's where you can just click that link
Okay.
and it starts the webinar.
Okay. Okay, great. Cool. I'm going to just practice sharing my screen with a couple
Okay.
things. Oops, not this.
I can see the pretty sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks great.
So we're gonna have this just as soon as everyone joins, and then like after a couple seconds it'll be this, so everyone can look at that.
Yes.
And then I will probably stop my share, and then I will have Secretary give his opening comments, and then he will introduce our first sponsor. And you got all the emails with those two, right?
Yes. Let's
Okay.
see. Let me just cross-reference that. Make sure I have. So I have Mike Shannon, Ducks Unlimited on here, and Jack Scott, Purina, Nestle Purina.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. They're
So-
panelists.
Yep. Our secretary go to Mike, and then Jack, and then we'll bring it back to Mike to go into introducing who Kelly is, and then I will then once again share my screen and go to this with my volume up.
Hi, I'm Kelly Blair, and I apologize for not being able to be here today.
Sounds good.
And
Yeah, much louder. That's kind of odd that your audio affects the quality of my audio, but whatever.
Or should we just go full volume? We'll be in air. Okay, I'm gonna try a test again.
Okay.
Because I think if you plug in, Zoom will pick it up. Okay. So that's good. And then we'll shut this door
Yeah.
and you can, maybe Amanda can mute Mike's mic when Kelly comes
Okay.
on. And then I'll sit in there and like watch it from here and with the door shut. So you manage it out here and Mike will be in there and then I can make sure
Okay, that
I'll
sounds
be
good.
like the runner watcher.
It's just really loud for like these people.
Everyone else. What if you could go in Grunwald's office? Or is Maury here? But that's far away. Kelly didn't sound as loud as when Amanda was talking afterwards.
Okay.
So.
Okay. We might. Should we test it again? Well, Mike isn't in the test right now, is he?
I don't think so.
Okay, Amanda, what we might have you, because you are the only one that can mute and unmute people, correct?
You should be able to do that now
Okay.
as a co-host.
You sure can. Yep.
Okay. And I'm just wondering. I see. So I'm gonna have to. I see. Okay. I'll just have to mute Mike when I show Kelly's video, so we don't pick up on the same sound. But
Okay. Okay.
I don't need my video on when I do this.
You mean you don't want everyone to see your face? Hello.
Woohoo! Yeah. And then I'm gonna mute. Yeah. Just text me, Lexi. Well, actually, I'll just sit here.
Mute yourself until Kelly's video.
Yeah, I'll be muted. Mhm.
Is Mike logged into your registration?
Everyone's under Maddie. I don't know. Let's see if we can change the name here.
Yeah, Maddie, I think so.
Rename.
The links are unique. So if I need to resend the registration confirmations for specific people to make the names look correct. Oh, now we got Mike Nag. That's great.
Okay. Is she the only one? I can change her name. Okay.
There we go, Julie. Julie is appropriately labeled now. And then do we want to test audio for Secretary Nag? Video looks perfect. I see audio's unmuted.
You bet. Can you hear me? Hey, Mike.
Morning. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
All right, so just a PSA here. So the folks that are here are considered panelists. So we're not actually broadcasting live right now. This is Amanda announced, by the way. And so here in 1 minute, I'll click broadcast, and that will open it up to all attendees for the conference. We had about 80 registrants, so hopefully everyone shows up. People can ask questions, the Q&A down at the bottom. When questions are asked in a written format, that'll pop up on our screen as panelists. Attendees can upvote those if they want to make sure a particular question gets answered. And we can go in and respond in written format or respond verbally to those questions. There's also a chat. We are recording this to potentially post at a later date. And if we get some bad actors, we shouldn't, but I have been monitoring who's registering and approving those registrants. We can kick people out if we need to. But I think everyone should be fine. And with that, are we comfortable, Maddie, Secretary Nag, with broadcasting?
I think we should be good. I'm going to start off with sharing my screen with our sponsors.
Okay.
Well, can you tell us how many people are on now?
Once I click broadcast, it'll pop up all the attendees.
Okay.
Right now, you can't see who is waiting to be admitted.
Okay, I'm ready.
Maddie, when your screen's shared, I'll click broadcast. Looks great. All right, I'm going to click broadcast. 1, 2, 3.
Well, good morning, everybody, and we'll be able to have you join us here for virtually. Of course, we would have loved to have been able to have hosted you all here in person. We would have kicked off last night with an opening reception. And we had a great program put together to show you some of the highlights of Iowa agriculture. And I had promised many of you hours and hours of bus rides around the state, and I'm sorry that I couldn't have delivered that for you. But, we will try to give you a snippet, some highlights of what we would have shown you in person. But of course, you can't recreate that. You just have conversations with each other in the hotel and social times. And so unfortunately, we'll miss that. Of course, I would have loved to have fed all of you with some of the best that we have to offer here in the state of Iowa. So I'll just among many other things. But so again, just sorry that we can't host you, but happy that we do have this opportunity. We took a different format, or chose a little different format here that I hope fits well with your schedule. And I've talked with many of you, and certainly if it's anything like me, that it's hard to get any block of time to commit to any one topic or any one meeting. And so I thought we'd take this concept of a MASDA into some bites and be able to still give you what we would the topic and also give you a chance to interaction too. So I want to make sure that there's time towards the end for you to ask questions and react to and give comments on some of the things we talked about. On the screen, you're seeing some of our sponsors, all of our sponsors for the MASDA. And I want you to know something about this group. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty, and yet these folks came in and were willing to support the meeting. And then when we offered them a opportunity for a refund, or that we would kick that sponsorship back to them after the meeting was canceled in person, every one of our sponsors said no, keep that, apply it to future meetings and future activities of MASDA. That doesn't surprise me a bit, but I think it tells you a lot about these folks, these companies, and their commitment to NASDA, to MASDA, and to all of you. And so I just want to thank our sponsors. You're going to get a chance to hear from some of them here throughout the next three sessions that we're going to have here. And so we're happy to be able to highlight them. And again, we're going to respect folks' time. We're going to keep things moving. And so we'll do these topics here and keep things chugging along. So I do want to let you know, and we want to encourage folks that we want to have a discussion. And so everybody's been muted right now, but we've got NASDA moderating here, and so they'll help with that. To ask a question, you can click on the question and answer button at the bottom of your screen. It's a feature. So if you're having any technical issues as well, you can put something to that button and we can try to help you there. This meeting is being recorded, and so it will be available for replay. I just want to pause here before we jump in, and special thanks to my team. They put a tremendous amount of work in, starting all the way last year as we were leaving Oklahoma, thinking about what we would be doing. And unfortunately, that work did not come to fruition, but they pivoted very quickly to put together this virtual meeting. I want to thank the NASDA team as well for their support through all of this, and really appreciate that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. The first topic here this morning for our first MASDA Monday is on water quality. And, we know that water quality is critically important. Soil health is very important and something that affects us in our states, but also downstream. And I know it's a priority for many of you as well. I like to remind folks, we are the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship. That's our full title. And so absolutely, roughly half of our organization is focused on soil conservation and water quality efforts in the state of Iowa, and something that we've really been focusing on increasing our capacity to deliver practices each and every year for the last several years. And very proud of the work that's being done, both in the farm landscape and in the urban landscape as well. We're also really focused on public-private partnerships here in order to get that work done. And you're going to hear from a couple of those private partners, both sponsors and partnering organizations here as we get into the session. Let's start with two of our sponsors and folks that are no strangers to many of you, and they're certainly folks that are very active in the state of Iowa as well. Do we have Jack Scott on? Jack Scott, with Vice President of Sustainability and Responsible Sourcing for Nestle Purina. Okay, we're gonna go to, let's skip him and let's go to Mike Shannon with Ducks Unlimited. And Mike, we know well here in Iowa, done a tremendous amount of work partnering with us to get work done on the ground. And Mike, give us a sense of what DU's working on and the commitment in terms of water quality and soil health.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I want to say first off, thank you to IDOLS and thank you to you, Secretary Nate, for inviting us and involving Ducks Unlimited in all these efforts. For those of you familiar with Unlimited, I want to take just a moment and kind of explain who we are and why we're interested in this partnership. For those of you not familiar with Ducks Unlimited, we're a wetland conservation organization that's been conserving wetland and associated upland habitat for over 80 years. We take a science-based strategic approach to waterfowl and wetland conservation. Throughout North America, we've conserved over 14 million acres of habitat since 1937. And here in Iowa, Iowa is very important to us because it's a very southern extent of the prairie pothole region in Iowa. And the prairie pothole region is where the majority of waterfowl and ground nesting grassland dependent birds go to nest. So again, if we take a strategic approach, if we're really interested in doing something significant for waterfowl, that means working in Iowa and on the Des Moines lobe. So since the mid 80s here in Iowa, Ducks Unlimited, we've conserved about 80,000 acres of habitat, working with a whole variety of. One of the most recent, of course, is IDOLS. Typically, we spend about $2 to $3 million a year on habitat work in Iowa, so it's a pretty significant impact. Our programs really just focus on restoring and enhancing wetland habitat for migrating and breeding waterfowl, but it has a whole variety of other things. The water quality aspect of it, flood abatement. I mean, that's a huge issue in Iowa, particularly after this weekend. There's a lot of rain coming down. Recreation, both from the hunting aspect, but also just paddling, boating, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of our rural economy based on people to hunt, to fish, to recreate, and that's very important. And waterfowl and wetlands have an impact on. Ducks Unlimited, we excel at developing and working within partnerships. I mean, Ducks Unlimited, we don't own any land, we don't manage any land. We work with a wide variety of partners to make these things happen, and we kind of excel at putting those partnerships together. Bringing our expertise, our money, or bring those partnerships together to make these things happen. So we've been doing that for decades, and I think we're pretty darn good at it. We bring the public and private partners together. We have the biological and the engineering expertise to kind of put these technical projects together, both for public agencies and private landowners. So we've been doing that for a long time. And Ducks Unlimited, we're very supportive of the water quality incentive and the CREP program, just because it's putting wetland habitat out there where it probably wouldn't be otherwise. Again, our interest is on waterfowl, but anytime you do a wetland habitat, there's multiple benefits, and we're really happy and proud to be part of this. So what Limited can bring to the table, I mean, we can bring our expertise, we can bring additional money, new partners. I know Jack Scott was going to be here. We work Nestle Purina quite closely on some of these things. And through our organizations, we've been putting money into the CREP program to help deliver that and expand that program. So we're really excited about that. So just, closing real briefly, we're just really, Ducks Unlimited, we're really excited about this kind of partnership, working with agricultural interests, working with IDOLS, and working with producers to kind of try to help expand this partnership as best we can. So thank you. And again, thank you for inviting us to be a participant here.
Thank you, Mike, and thanks to DU for all the work that gets done, not just in Iowa, but really across the country. And had a chance to, many of us know Adam Putnam, the CEO of DU. He was in the state last year, and on a very cold and windy day, we went out and looked at some wetlands. But we appreciated having him here, and we appreciate the great partnership. Again, public-private partners, layered benefits of conservation practices, right? We get habitat, we get water quality, we get soil health, we can get flood mitigation, and knit all those things together. It's a great partnership. So thanks, Mike. Thanks to DU for the sponsorship here as well. All right, I think we have Jack on the phone. So Jack Scott, we'll go to you next. Vice President of Sustainability and Responsible Sourcing for Nestle Purina. significant operations here in the state of Iowa. Had we held the meeting in Eastern Iowa, we would have likely taken you to one of their sites. Great folks, and Jack, want to welcome you, and thanks for your sponsorship. Give us a sense of what you all are working on from a sustainability standpoint.
Hello, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on here. I just received an email asking if I could turn on my camera, and I'm afraid I'm going to mess up and be disconnected because I'm going to have to switch from one monitor to the computer. So hopefully you don't mind.
We'll imagine what you look like, Jack. How
Good,
about that?
good. I would rather have you imagine what I look like rather than actually see me anyway. So this is perfect. So no worries. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and for giving Purina an opportunity to share a little bit about not just the work that we do in Iowa, but our strategy overall. And I think it's good to kind of talk about this in a very open forum as well. I got a chance to listen to some of Mike Shannon also talk a little bit about Iowa Living Lakes, and so I don't want to spend too much time, but Mike has been absolutely phenomenal helping and working with Purina and making some of the progress that we've been able to make there in Iowa at the same time. If I could share a slide, what the slide would probably look like is you would see Purina with a big red arrow pointed down on it with a bunch of external stakeholders that are all applying pressure to our business to create change, right? And it would be anything from non-governmental organizations or NGOs to activists to new smaller competitors that like to stretch the truth, if you will, right, around sustainability, even social media. And all of that external pressure, right, has this impact on influencing consumers. And then the consumers, of course, they make their purchase decisions in the grocery stores, and the grocery stores then decide what it is they want to stock on shelves. And so it has an impact on our business. And the way in which a lot of food manufacturing companies, as well as others, behave is that they want to push that sort of pressure upstream all the way back to the farmers and ranchers, right? They want to take all of that pressure that they're feeling and place it back onto the shoulders of the farmers and the ranchers. That's one of the slides that I have in my presentation. But the very next slide that you would see is that we've about 4 or 5 years ago flipped it on its head. And instead, what we're wanting to do is work directly with the farmers and the ranchers and those in the farming and agricultural community. And you'll see this big green arrow going the other direction, right? Figuring out ways in which we can work with conservation organizations that are very friendly to farmer families like DU and others, and work with those farmers and those ranchers to help pay for the cost of these long-term sustainability practices that could help improve their operations, help their operations become more resilient, improve their financial stability, and then tell those stories and bring those stories all the way back to the individual consumers so that the consumers can start to make a good choice about, you know, where their ingredients are coming from, where their products are coming from, and wanting to work with companies and have a positive impression of all the great things that are going on out there. That's been our strategy. And honestly, I think it's a strategy that is finally, after a long time, starting to take hold. Last year, Ducks Unlimited, as well as Purina with USA Rice, we ended up receiving an award, Collaboration of the Year award, down in the lower Mississippi River Basin. And it was phenomenal because it actually, like, you know, got recognized by other large food retail companies and food manufacturing companies to say, man, maybe there's something to this of actually finding positive ways to work with those that are creating the change that we wish to see and bringing it up and through the system. And so the Iowa Living Lakes is one of these examples. And if I ramble too long, just bang the gong, Mike, all right? Just bang the gong and I'll shut up. But knowing that Mike Shannon talked a little bit about this already, right? DU works already very closely with Iowa Department of Agriculture Land Stewardships to advance that Iowa Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, right, CREP. And CREP has led to, I think, the restoration of close to 90 different sites to improve that water quality and benefits. Well, Iowa's a key state for Purina. We have 3 factories there. We employ a lot of people there in the state of Iowa. So we're part of the community too. And it's important for us to take care of not just the place where our ingredients coming from, but take care of those communities in which we're also a part of. And so we gave our contribution to Ducks Unlimited to help restore additional crepe wetlands over a 3-year period, and making sure that the program would work, and finding ways to partner with IDOLs as well to enhance those existing, also publicly owned shallow lakes and marshes as well throughout these lands. We've found through a lot of the research that I actually have to credit DU with, ways in which it's helped to improve carbon drawdown, reduce nitrogen runoff, to reduce sediment runoff, right? To improve the land use by wildlife habitat, while at the same time improving that water quality for local recreation as well. In my opinion, it's been a win-win-win for not just the farming and agriculture community there in Iowa, but for conservation overall and for companies like us. And so, Mike Nag, to your point, this to me is a model of a private-public, and it should be recognized by others. It should be told, and I'm so thankful that we've been part of this as well with all of you. So I've rambled on enough there. I'll shut up now, but I'm happy to take any questions or talk more if you wish to hear me more.
Jack, thank you very much for giving us a sense of what your commitment is, and again, that public-private partnership. And what I appreciate about the company is you talk about all those external pressures that you all have to manage. You don't just turn down the supply chain and make demands of the producer. You work with the producer. You work with that supply chain, and we appreciate that. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for sponsorship, and more importantly, thanks for what you do on the ground, working with every day to actually make things happen to improve sustainability. So thanks again, Mike and Jack, both. Thank you for joining us, giving us a little taste of what's happening here in the state. All right, so we'll move on here. One of the things that I absolutely wanted to do was to make sure that, not that y'all don't get out and get onto farms, on a regular basis, but I wanted you to get on some Iowa farms. And so we'll do that virtually here today. We'll take you to a farm, or we'll take you to a farmer and give you a chance. We know that farmers are working every day to care for their land, and I wanted to highlight that. Again, the work being done here in the state. Kelly Blair is somebody who is very well known in the state of Iowa, is working on these issues, very outspoken, and folks that do field days and work with other farmers. It's a great thing. They live up in the area in central Iowa, and she wasn't able to join us live this morning, but we did record a presentation from her, and she's a leader in her community, not only with the practices that they add, but also with others. Again, if you've got questions, be kind of leaving those along here in a box. We'll either get you connected with Kelly or get an answer, or we'll come back and try to address some of those at the end of the session. So let's go ahead and play the video from Kelly Blair.
Hi, I'm Kelly Blair, and I apologize for not being able to be here today live, but I was able to record, so hopefully this works out for everybody. Here is my contact information. So if you have any questions, please feel free to get a hold of me. You can either email me, or Lexi or Maddie can help get a hold of me if you have any follow-up questions or anything. So I farm full-time with my husband and 2 kids. We farm corn, soybeans, cattle. We have both a beef feedlot and a cow-calf operation, and we custom feed pigs. And we've also started to grow hay and small grains, oats. I also have 2 kids, Wyatt, who's 10, and Charlotte, who's 9. And with this whole COVID thing, it's been interesting becoming a teacher, I guess you could call it. But I appreciate you having me here today, and I'm excited to talk about our farm. So Our farm is still evolving, and it will continue to evolve as long as we're farming it anyway. Our goal on our farm is continual improvement and conservation. So 15 years ago, when I moved here, the farm looked a lot different than it does now. We were all corn on corn. We had just begun a farm partnership with 2 neighbors. The only livestock we had was custom finishing pigs, and we had full tillage. We would disc rip in the fall and field poultry in the next spring. And so as we made changes, nothing happened overnight, and they've been somewhat small changes, but it does look a lot different 15 years later. So like I said, we do currently farm corn, soybeans. We have oats for grain. We have alfalfa for hay, and we do cover crops. Our farm partners that we started working with have now retired, and our acres have tripled. We still custom finish pigs, and so we have that manure on our farm, and we have a cow-calf operation, and we feed out beef cattle. We also do minimal tillage as best we can. So, you know, it looks like a big change, but it kind of came slowly and surely throughout the years. So one of the first things we started changing was soybeans, not tilling ahead of our soybean crop. So at the time, we had a farm partnership. We were starting to do seed beans with Pioneer, and we needed a bigger planter. So the neighbor we were starting to work with had a no-till planter. And at the time, my husband was on the board with the Soybean Association here in Iowa. And so they were looking at no-till soybeans and doing trials on tillage versus no-till. And what we found was that there was no difference between the two. So this was a pretty easy change for us, you know, not having to do tillage ahead of soybeans. It saved us a lot of time and money, and it didn't change our yield at all. It was a pretty easy switch. So that was one of the first big changes. We started strip till ahead of corn because the farm partner we were working with had a strip till bar, and it was his preference, and we know that it would help for soil improvement instead of tilling ahead of corn. I'll talk about it in a little bit too, but now we're moving to more no-till rather than any type of tillage ahead, just because you know, if we don't have to do tillage, it really saves us a lot of time and money. We diversified in 2010. We added our beef feedlot. We have a monoslope building, and we feed out beef cattle right now. Obviously, it was a profit opportunity for us. We were young farmers. Land wasn't really a great idea or option for us to get involved with. So the cattle barn was the best opportunity for us. In 2019, we actually added another monoslope onto this. It's about half the size of this building shown here in this picture. And right now we can probably fit around 350 cattle on our farm. And they're both custom fed and some owned. So there's a mixture of it in there. Shortly after we built our first barn, we decided to invest in cows as well. And so we started our cow-calf operation. It's kind of grown, and we're learning. You know, I grew up on a cattle farm, but my dad really didn't start raising his own cattle. It was my grandpa's cattle until I moved off the farm, and my husband didn't grow up with cattle. So we have to laugh because we're learning. We don't know a lot about it still, even though we've started in the last 10 years. We're learning, obviously, but so again, it was a diversifying option. We had a feedlot, so obviously the idea to raise our own calves and feed them out was something we wanted to do. Then we started looking at, through the Soybean Association, tile water monitoring. So the tile we chose, here's the data for that. We know exactly what acres it drains, and we manage those acres. So this data is our data. We have specific control over it, and we know that. So when we first started, it was pretty high. It was one of the highest samples in the state at that time when we started taking it in 2015. A little background on that: when we put in that new tile, it was a brand new tile. It was dry the prior year, and then all of a sudden it became wet. So there was a lot of nitrate to flow from that tile, as you can see. But over the years, as we added reduced tillage, cover crops, you can see in 2019 and 2018, we didn't get a lot of samples taken, but you can see we're down to around that 5 parts per million. So that drinking water standard from the tile itself. So we've been pretty proud of this, and we're hoping that the practices we're using on our other acres has the same effect as what we're doing here. And then along with the cattle, another natural fit for us was cover crops. So we've started adding cover crops, and we've been kind of dabbling in cover crops for about as long as I started farming. We tried to do some organic, probably 13 years ago or so. And so we tried doing cover crops at that time. But this, it's still evolving. We're still trying to figure it out. But with the cattle, we figured cover crops would be a natural fit. We know that it's going to help with our soil health, one of our main goals.